At the heart of most improvement programs is a desire for a company to improve its financial position one way or another, which of course is a legitimate aspiration, provided the customer's value isn't eroded, and provided the financial improvement is viewed not as the ultimate goal, but as a positive effect resulting from improved business processes delivering better value to customers. This is an important orientation of ideology because before seeing financial gains, in many cases there's a good chance that one or two financial measures might get worse for a while before getting significantly better. This is something most companies don't take account of when they plan their projects, which are then sometimes abandoned when the numbers don't immediately stack up. From your own experience, how many times have you set out to improve something, only to fall foul of your accountant a few weeks or months later, when she demands to know why the company's cash position has deteriorated in spite of your best efforts? You know you've eliminated waste. You can demonstrate how unit costs are lower, service levels are higher, scrap and rework are reduced. But you're flummoxed by the reduction of cash in the business. It's got to be something external to the project, right? Perhaps the credit controller isn't getting the cash in from customers on time. Or the procurement team are effectively calling in the wrong materials ahead of time because schedule priorities are changed at the last minute. Or maybe the sales team are extending credit beyond normal limits. Well, all of these causes are feasible, but let's look at another scenario that occurs regularly. Let's say your workshop or manufacturing facility has a lead time of just over 10 weeks, and inventory turns over 5 times in a year. Let's also say that your sales are £1 million, and your truly variable costs are £550,000, made up of raw materials, energy, and consumables. The resultant £450,000 represents the value that your facility adds to the products. It's assumed here that the business employs permanent staff, so labour isn't a truly variable cost. So if your operating expenses are £250,000, then the profit is £200,000. Now let's assume that as part of your continuous improvement program objectives, you want to reduce inventory and lead times in order to release latent production capacity, which you then want to utilize to fulfill additional sales. By, say, halving the factory lead time, it's possible to double the throughput and by extension increase sales by 100%, which delivers a profit increase of 225%. In other words, on these numbers, a doubling of sales more than triples the profit. And if you'd like to know more on how to achieve this in practice, then get in touch using the contact details at the end of this video. But given that the cost of finance often comes straight off the bottom line, it's not unreasonable for directors to also set objectives that reduce or eliminate the cash requirement. Here you can see the cash-to-cash cycle of this same business at the start of the project, set out along a timeline. With a stock equivalent of 73 days, debtor days at 50 days, and days payable at 60 days, this leaves a gap of 63 days which the company has to finance. Now clearly the only part of the working capital cycle under the complete control of any manufacturing business is the management of stock from receipt of raw materials to the dispatch of finished goods. Without a good reason to change terms and conditions, it would be at best futile to ask suppliers or customers to relinquish any aspect of their trading position. So it makes sense to focus initial improvement efforts within the factory boundary. Typically, the plan would be to eliminate waste in the system, maximize output from the bottleneck operations, and monitor KPIs using visual management techniques. Actions which in turn drive the reduction of inventory, enable shorter lead times, and thereby release cash previously tied up in operations. But a business might not see that cash release during the initial thrust of an improvement project. In fact, the cash position could even deteriorate because when a factory or a workshop successfully eliminates waste, it creates white spaces in the schedule. And since the objective is to do more and more with less and less, jobs get scheduled in to mop up the available capacity. The immediate effect of this is that more raw materials are needed earlier, so there's an increased cash requirement for the purchase of these materials and any other truly variable costs, and that causes a short-term negative effect on cash flow. Now, as long as a business can fund operations to bridge that gap, eventually the cash shortfall will work its way out of the system and the company will be in a stronger position. The message here is recognise the cash implication of the improvement programme and take short, steady steps if necessary in order to live within the means of the company's resources. Once the business has consolidated the initial improvements, the next step can take suppliers and customers into consideration, because now the business has something to offer in return for improved trading terms. A shorter lead time and higher percentage of on-time deliveries are high value benefits to any customer. So it should be possible to offer these in exchange for perhaps a reduction in debtor days and/or a price increase. On the other side of the supply chain, a more accurate requirements plan allows a supplier to better predict their own schedule. So they have an opportunity to lower their own costs and in return may be able to lower prices and/or maintain or even improve payment terms. So in practice, by beginning with improvements of internal processes in order to deliver better customer value, it's possible to achieve sustainable financial gains without playing a zero-sum game. And it's possible to turn your workshop or factory into a cash generator. Now, circumstances are different from industry to industry and business to business. But in all cases, it should be possible for any company to achieve the initial improvements within 1 or 2 iterations of the working capital cycle, and have the confidence to engage with customers and suppliers by the 3rd or very latest the 4th iteration. With help from PDCA Consulting, you can realize these gains quickly. Get in touch and we'll be happy to discuss your specific issues and your circumstances with you. Our copper bottom promise is that we deliver sustainable financial improvement using a scientific approach. And if we don't think there's a significant opportunity to provide value to your business, we'll say so. So the most it will have cost you is a bit of time and perhaps a cup of tea. Given the potential gains, that's got to be worth a punt.